Welcome to Psychology. My name is Mrs. Jefferson and I'm going to tell you a little bit about the course.
Hi, my name is Olivia. I'm an A-level psychology student. I'm in year 13 and I really enjoy psychology. One of the reasons is there's just such a vast range of topics that you do. You do things from relationships to attachment to biopsychology. I think attachment's really interesting, learning how when you were younger about how attachments affect how you are in later life, and you just get to, it's a subject that has so many different areas that even if you don't prefer one of them, you'll love another, and it just kind of opens up so many different topics and conversations, and yeah, it's really interesting.
I'm Lucy and I also am a year 13 psychology student. I really like how in psychology it also involves other subjects a little bit as well. There is biopsychology, which it's very biology based and there's science intertwined with that, and also maths. There's a little bit of maths as well, some statistics, but there's not too much. So but yeah, overall I really enjoy psychology.
I'm Katie. I'm also a year 13 psychology student. And I found that when I started psychology in year 12, one of the things I liked about it was that it's something that I'd never done before. Chances are you haven't done any psychology prior to year 12 because it's not offered at most schools as GCSE. So it is just really nice and quite refreshing to have an A-level in the mix, which is just something completely new and something that you feel like you can genuinely apply to your everyday life. So yeah, I really like it too.
Okay, so I'd like to explain a little bit to you about what studying psychology at UVHS will entail. It's something that is very unlikely you will have studied at GCSE, so hopefully this brief presentation will just help to explain what sorts of things are included within the specification. As with all of our other subjects, it's a linear subject, which means that you'll sit 3 papers in June at the end of year 13. There will be internal exams that you sit within year 12, so after Christmas in year 12 and in the summer of year 12, but your 3 papers for your A-level psychology exams will be in your summer of year 13, and each of those will be 2 hours long. And if you're having a look online or if you're looking for any additional resources, make sure you look for AQA, that's the exam board which we use. So just to give you a little bit more information about the course, you can see here that a key element of psychology is being able to formulate an argument by presenting and critically evaluating research evidence. The exam questions consist of a range of shorter questions, some multiple choice, but then building up to potentially 6, 8, 12 and even 16 mark questions. And because of this, you'll see that the grade requirements for this subject are really quite unique. We ask for a level 6 in both science and English and a 5 in maths. And when I talk a little bit later about research methods section, you'll understand why the maths is necessary. Okay, so this slide is just to try and explain a little bit about what we cover within year 12, and you'll see that we look at content from paper 1 and paper 2. So in paper 1 we look at social influence, which includes things like conformity and obedience. We look at memory, which is how people remember information, how we can perhaps improve memory, where we would use it in practical applications such as eyewitness testimony in the courtroom. We also look at attachment. This is how babies and infants form attachments to their caregivers. And the final topic in paper 1 is psychopathology, which is all about understanding abnormal behaviour. And within that we look at OCD, phobias and also depression. The paper 2 content from the year 12 topics includes approaches. So we try and understand behaviour from a biological approach. So is there a biological cause? We look to see whether behaviour happens because it's learned. This is the behaviourist approach. And there's a whole sequence of other approaches that we will go into in more detail. And we also include research methods. And I'll talk a little bit more about the research methods aspect of the course a little bit later on. And as you'll see there, we don't do any coursework, but we'll give you opportunities to carry out some practical research activities. So this will really help with your understanding of the research methods part of the course. Okay, in year 13, so there's a little bit in year 13 where we develop stuff we've already looked at in year 12. So we include some additional approaches. We look a little bit more in depth at biopsychology. So this is looking at things like how neurons work in the brain. We look to see things to do with sleep patterns. We also have a look at how research has investigated things to do with the brain. Research methods is developed a bit further, and we also include issues and debates, which could include gender bias, so how research may have been carried out and is particularly biased towards either males or females. We look at some debates such as nature versus nurture, and then we've got the options of topic areas which we tend to study: relationships, schizophrenia and forensic psychology. And all of these are available to see more details about on the specification of AQA if you just look on their website. And just as a reminder again, you can see there's 3 written exams. Each of them have these sort of variety of structured and essay style questions, and they each will last for 2 hours. So just to emphasise the research methods aspects of the course, it's going to be taught across both years, and ultimately it makes up 25% of your overall grade. So this is where the maths comes into it. You may be asked to do stuff which you're already very familiar with, such as working out the mean, looking at percentages, drawing or analysing graphs. But you're also going to need to use some new skills, such as using statistical tests on data. And this is something that we cover in Year 12, but also go into a lot more depth on in Year 13. So hopefully you will see yourself in any of the things you can see on this slide here. So do you find yourself to be quite open-minded? Are you curious? Do you like to understand why people behave as they do? Do you work well as a team? Are you hard-working? Do you really want to try and do the very best you can? And do you try and look at all behaviour? Do you try and understand things from a scientific point of view? And if that's the case, then this probably will be a really good subject for you to have a go at. So if you are considering taking psychology as an A-level, you might be thinking, what would you do with it next? You may well decide to go on and take it at degree level and study it at university, or it might be that whatever else it is that you do go on to do from your A-levels, that you'll find psychology is really, really useful. So any other degree subject, any job, anything where you are working with people, you will find that you will bring some of your psychology knowledge into it.